Hey legends, thank you for tuning in on a Friday night with me. Brings me great pleasure to return to chat with Matt. It's been a little while in 2020, and I thought I'd kick it off with a bang, getting back into it, talking to Bec Curtis tonight. And Bec has exploded onto the scene of Australian obstacle racing in the last 12 months, landing on the podium for her first competitive race in New Zealand last year. Bec has stayed on the podium for every race she's entered since, with first place elite finishes at Gold Coast and Canberra for 2019 and a second place National Series finish. Bec was invited onto the Australian Spartan Pro team and has a huge career ahead of her. Often sharing the podium with her partner and current APAC champion Liam Mckenzie, they're a force to be reckoned with in OCR in Australia. So I'll bring her straight on so everyone can say hello. Bec, how you doing?
Hi there. I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for having a chat with me. And just like
Good.
Cassie has done here, guys, if you are watching live, give us a hashtag live. If you are watching a replay, let me know with the hashtag replay later. And this is a live chat, it's an open forum. Bex decided to answer our questions. So if you have any questions to ask, let us know. And I've got a couple of questions that we are going to run through. And Beck, you can't see what I can see. You can just see me on Skype. I've got this
Yep.
overlay with questions that I can bring on screen. So I'll just let you know what the people
Okay.
are saying. But
Good.
how's your Friday been?
It's good. Weather. We've actually used to live in Sydney, but we've moved up to East Ballina, which is near Byron Bay now. So we've just decided to pack up our stuff, come up to northern New South Wales, and the weather up here is amazing. I definitely can't complain. It's like summer all the time.
I feel you. I escaped as well. I moved up here about 6 weeks ago, I think. Just up to the Gold Coast, so I'm about an hour north of you.
Yes,
But yeah, it's so much nicer up here. It's just a lot nicer to get out and train, right? In
oh,
in Sydney in winter.
it is.
Going
Honestly,
home is
I
the
just
worst.
shorts and a t-shirt, and that's me all year round. And I couldn't believe that that was even possible, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, so good. And a couple more guys jumping on. Vlad live, Tammy, Justine, Tammy Turner, my sister. What's going on, Tammy? Tammy's only about 200 meters down the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Hi, Tammy.
I came up. I used to visit my sister up here, and I'm like, this place is amazing. So I just like moved in down the road. So it's a good move.
Good call.
And it's pissing down at the moment. Did you get out and hit any training today?
It is. I actually went to the gym today. I stayed dry.
Nice.
Did my strength session.
So did
Liam didn't. He went
I.
out running.
Yeah, we were saying before. I just saw him on the Instagram. He just came back from a run. He he loves it, doesn't he?
He does. He wasn't allowed inside till he got dry, though.
Cool. So there's rules.
Sort of,
Matt,
sort of.
Matty Probes is live. Matty Tootle. Um, Tamara Turner, my sister. Thursday's supposed to be 29 degrees.
Oh,
God's
thank you.
country. God's
Thank
country.
you for letting me know. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
so good. So good. Ian Hayward's live. Sorry, I'm just going to go through everyone who's joining us
That's
first
all
and then
right.
we'll get into our chat.
Sounds good.
Tammy's saying it was a great move. Love you being close. Oh, and Funzi's live as well. Hey, hey.
Hey,
Yeah,
guys.
so, hey. Um, Tammy just asked a question. We'll get straight into that. Do you guys watch
Sure.
Ninja Warrior?
We do. Not too much this season. I guess we used to watch a lot of TV in terms of normal TV, but we're very big Stan and Netflix fans. So
Yeah.
we end up turning that on a lot more. I have watched, to be fair, I have watched it most nights. It's probably the only bit of TV that we have watched. It's always super interesting to see the new obstacles every year. So I guess I can't really turn away from watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we like you'd know some people on it as well. You'd know a couple of the athletes, you'd know a couple of people in the crowd.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
It's always
obviously
nice.
there's a lot of crossover between OCR and Ninja, so we know a couple of the guys on there. I'm with you. I watch Netflix and Stan. We haven't even connected an aerial up to the TV
Yeah.
since we moved up here. Like we just watch Netflix.
I know it's just easy. It's easy these days, especially with lockdown. You just had to go and
Right?
get into the groove, and that was it for us.
No, nothing else to do. Um, Well,
No,
you guys are in a wonderful place in the world to run and get out and
we are.
train. And I've been watching you guys get out and get after it on the IG stories, both yours and Liam's. Um, but it's probably been an interesting year to join the Spartan Pro team.
It has. It definitely has. Short but sweet. Still trying to be involved with it as much as we can, I guess. It was really great, obviously, from January to March, and then COVID hit in
The
March, and then
golden years.
yeah, yeah, right. And then was really keeping it up and vamped for the next month or two, and then everything was kind of there and it was taken away from us, and then it was there, and then I think it got to a point where we were just trying to do what we can do in these times and not try to get our hopes up too much, but also be hopeful at the same time. So never not training like we're not going to have a race, but also trying to remember that it's a high possibility that we might not get back out there. But yeah, one of those things. Spartan Pro team was a amazing thing that it came upon me, I guess, and still very grateful and proud. And hopefully we can carry this on to 2021 and really take on the brand a little bit more.
Yeah, and you're fantastic brand ambassadors, both you and Liam. Um, Much loved in the community. You've always got a kind word for everyone who comes up and says hello. So you're definitely building and growing the brand and your own brand at the same time. Um, how did you get started in OCR? Because obviously, as I said at the start, you exploded onto the scene. What did the beginning look like?
Well, to be honest, when I first met Liam, entered his first Spartan race. And I remember I was meeting up with him that afternoon, and he told me he just did this crazy thing with obstacles and running in mud and absolutely loved it. And one day he just went and signed up and did another one. And I just decided to go and watch a few of his races. I think this was in 2017.
Yep.
And just loved the atmosphere, to be honest. It was just something that I never seen before. I've never been a runner. Did a couple of cross countries in high school, but other than that, I just thought it was just awesome. The community around it, everyone's vibes was just all high, and I guess I just wanted to be a part of it. But I entered my first one in 2018. I believe it was Picton, back when the sprint was an 8 kilometre. Um, definitely struggled, to be honest. It was one of those things. It did take me quite a while to do. I don't think I completed simple things like getting over the 8-foot wall and things like that. It was just a whole new experience. But I remember I finished it and I was just in awe of how something like running could really draw me into participating in a sport that I never thought that never even heard of, to be honest. So
Yeah.
back to the question, I guess I started it because of Liam, which was nice.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And you said you didn't do much running, like a little bit in high school, but not a lot of running before you got into OCR. You run better than I run, and
Yeah.
I've done some running.
Uh, yeah.
Where'd it come from?
No. No, never been a runner. Played netball in when I was younger. I played rep netball. I was never a runner even then. We did fitness, and I remember I was always one of the slowest. Uh, born and bred in the pool, and always been a swimmer. So I guess running just was whatever I could do at the time. Very basic athletics and cross country when you enter in high school, just because you can. Other than that, I didn't really start running until June 2019. So last June.
Wow. 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 And you've done some pretty amazing things in Spartan since. You've stood on some pretty packed podiums and won some. Have you won across every distance except an ultra? Or podiumed at least?
No, I haven't. No,
Have you
I've won
podiumed a
2
beast?
sprints, and then yes, and then my supers and my beasts second.
Okay, so you've podiumed every event
Yeah.
in elite. Cool. And obviously starting to work on the longer term game. I saw a bit of a shift in your training, sort of late 2019 and and start of 2020. It looked like you were
Yes.
starting to put in a lot more miles.
Yes, definitely. It was one of those things that was quite gradual, to be honest, which was fine by me.
Yeah, definitely. You can't just go from 0 to 100 with your running either. If you up your volume dramatically, you're definitely going to have problems. So you've done it the right way. But what's the goal? Like, is there a certain distance that you'd like to be strong at, or are you just looking to be competitive at everything?
Um, I think I've been quite lucky that I've enjoyed all distances, and from racing, I've been able to stay quite consistent. So I don't go out and do a sprint and do any worse than I might do in a beast, just going off what I believe is the best that I can do on the day, which is beneficial, because that means that when I train, I'm not restricted to just training for a sprint because maybe that's what I'm good at. I'm able to, although I don't like the longer runs as much, I'm able to get myself out there and do that, because I do know that it's not just beneficial for me to be strong at one distance, whereas I could maybe try and be strong at all distances, whether or not that might be just above average at all distances. But as long as I can stay quite consistent, that's probably more my goal, rather than strive for one distance, just because I'm new to the sport, and I love it all so much that I want to be able to try and cover everything.
Yeah. So sort of aiming to be a bit more of an all-rounder, and that's one thing that I'll say about Liam is he's super impressive across any distance. Like, he's a contender, wins most shitty enters, right? Um, but across any distance, like, he was quick up the hill at the ultra at Bright. Obviously pulled out of that one, I think, with an Achilles injury from memory. But it doesn't matter what the race is, he's at the front. So
Yeah.
what does because you and Liam both train under his Mckenzie method, um, and he trains athletes all around the world. Is there something that you guys are doing different that makes you competitive across all distances? What does your standard training week look like?
Uh, I guess what differentiates is that we don't actually do the same thing every week. It's very varying. I don't um, have a program where I'm building and increasing my Ks every week. I'm doing what feels right for me, and making sure that I'm doing it specific to what my body feels that week. Um,
Awesome.
so when I go out and do a session, I'm focused 100% on that session, and I'm actually putting my feet forward, and focusing on what I need to do for that week. Some people would structure their training sessions where they have 4 to 8 week blocks, and they're progressing, they're building, and at the end, they might do some testing or things like that. We do use that basis, definitely. I did used to do quite a few time trials early on. I didn't find them as beneficial for me, just because that's my personality. I kind of get a little bit down on myself when I can't get where I feel like I should have gotten that day. And I think that structuring my training sessions to actually enjoy them and pick the training sessions that I want to do, rather than being like, I have to do this. If I don't do this, then I can't see where I'm at. So for me, that's just a personal thing for me. Like, Liam and I, we do have similar training programs, but at the same time, they're also quite different. Whereas Liam will kind of focus himself on a goal of a distance he might want to pursue in 4 weeks' time, whereas I kind of go out and do what I need to do, but also make sure that I'm going out and I'm enjoying that session, whether that might be a couple of Ks less than what I might have planned to. As long as I'm going out and doing a quality session, that's the main thing for me.
Yeah. And two things I'm picking up from that, which sort of end to the same goal, is if you're doing it because you enjoy it and you're doing the stuff that you enjoy more, you don't have to. That's not a chore, right? You
No.
you bounce out of bed to train to do that. So you're going to be a lot more consistent. And on the other side of the same coin, it sounds like you're really listening to your body, which means longevity, which means less injuries, which means more consistency. So at the end of the day, you're just very consistent, and that's going to pay huge dividends. So what's the biggest thing you struggle with on a course? Let's go there.
Oh, I feel like, I don't know. I guess there's always struggles when you're racing. I think the one thing is just making sure it sounds silly, but the one thing that when I do a race is I just think just finish it, and just finish it being proud. Um, I might not do something well, or I might think finish that and I think, oh, that was crap. But the fact that I finished it and know that it's done and now I can focus on the next obstacle, that's the main thing. I'm the type of person that if I say I have to do burpees and I get really angry at myself, I don't know whether or not I would let myself down and not push myself as hard as what I could. So I try and just focus on just getting it done, whether or not it wasn't very good or not, and picking myself up and just thinking, especially if it's a beast, you're 11 Ks in, you still got another 10 Ks to go. You can't look at it in a disappointing way. You just have to do it.
You can't beat yourself up. I was talking to a client in my client group the other night, and they asked something about pacing, and I said this about like doing 12-hour like endurance races, and I don't take my watch with me like when I do the laps, because if for whatever reason I'm off pace, and you're like 6 hours into a race and you're off pace, your next 6 hours is going to be hell, because
Yeah.
but if you just run by feel, you just run as good a lap as you can, and sometimes you come in and you're like, oh, that was a bit slower.
Mm-hmm.
I can pick it up next lap, or the next lap you come in and it was faster, but you're sort of running by
Yeah.
that feel. But it's the same thing, right? If you get in your head and start to beat yourself up, it's going to be a long race.
Oh, I couldn't. I could do an enduro race anytime soon, so but I can definitely see why you do that for sure.
Yeah,
It's a good tactic.
it's crazy's just a reference point. So when I first started in OCR, I think I did my first 5K race, and I heard people were doing a beast, and I'm like, those motherfuckers are crazy. And now I'm the crazy one. Every time you do crazy
You
stuff, you
are.
realize there's crazier people, and you're like, I want to be those crazy people. So we'll get you an enduro one
Definitely.
day.
One day.
Yeah.
You have to drag
Liam
me by
usually
my hands and
does.
feet.
Yeah,
He
Liam usually
does.
does the 24-hour on the. They
Mhm.
got this. They set the record last year at 2019. Did they?
Yeah, they did last year. Yeah, they came first in the teams,
23
which was
laps or something.
awesome. Oh, something unbelievable. They just,
Mental.
pulling it out of I don't know where. All of them, honestly, just
Yeah.
phenomenal. And that's, I guess, one of the reasons why I can't do an enduro, because I always got to be pit crew, which is fine. Fine by me.
Yeah. Yeah. Dom does the same thing. I'm like, I can
Yeah.
probably get someone else to pit crew if you want to run. She's like, no, I'm fine.
She's like, no.
That's fine. I'll do it. Question from Tammy. Do you prefer running on sand, road, or treadmill?
Ooh. I kind of have awkward knees. Growing up playing netball, I used to have to tape them, and there'd be quite pain, which goes to my lower back, etc., etc. So I avoid sand at all costs. Um, I run on road all the time, so I'd have to say that would be my go-to, just because it's there all the time. I only just started at a gym, and I do minimal on the treadmill. Again, I don't feel it's that great for my hips and lower back. I also feel a little bit slower. I think it's maybe because I can't stride out as much. Whereas when I'm on the road, I try and actually use the grass strips as well as much as possible. So, in a Spartan race, you're not running on a road. So if I'm not out on the trails, I'll try and alternate between on the footpath, on the road, or try and get on the grass to mix it up. And I find that the grass isn't as heavy on my body as well. I do get quite severe hip and lower back pains. It's just a strength thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I find that too. And I researched this a while back about running on a treadmill versus running on a road as far as the shock absorption. And they reckon there's actually more shock absorption on a treadmill. But I've always found the opposite.
Mm,
Like I found it's nicer to
yeah.
run on the road than it
On a
is
tread-
on a
Yeah.
treadmill. I find they're good for like certain drills, like if you want to do certain intervals or something like that, they're all right.
Mhm.
But yeah, road is nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's always there.
Yeah. I love trails though. Like I find when I'm road running, I'll never go into flow running on a road. But when I run on trails, especially technical trails, where you're like, if I am not focusing on where I'm putting my feet, there's a fair chance I'll die. Um, you're sort of in the moment then, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like when you're on a road, like you said, well, one, you're really focusing, you're always looking at your watch or you're focusing on your pace. And when you're on the trails, you just don't mind. Like you're just running to how your body feels on the day. You're running to stop and look at things or, really take everything in. And, you're running to your ability rather than trying to hit a time every kilometer, which it makes such a big difference. And I find that you can actually run further. So you can hit those 21K runs. You try and do that on a road. Some people can do it. They definitely can. I find it a little bit tedious and I'm trying to look at my watch every 2 seconds. So trails are the best for sure.
Yeah. I did a half marathon in Sydney. And like I'm not going to shit can the event because it's like the event was fine, but basically we started at like this stadium near the M7, which is the big motorway, and we just ran out onto the motorway and ran 10Ks that way and then turned around and ran 10Ks back and back into the stadium. So it's just a 21K fucking on a straight road. And like I'm lucky I didn't pass my car because I would have just got in it, fucked off home. Like it was terrible. Um, you know, I'm with you. I find trails so much more interesting. Um, whereas road running, you're like, fuck, when is this going to be over?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it,
So
it helps moving to a new area. So I find when I go down to Sydney, my training, it just depletes a little bit because I look at it and I'm just like, oh,
mhm.
it's the same thing over and over again. We've moved up to Ballina and we've just found all these different new routes and all our runs are different ways and it just makes it so much more exciting and so much better.
It's so much easier to go out and train, which is good.
100%, 100%.
Adrian's live. Adrian Mannix. I think Adrian has been on every single one of my chat with Matts. I'm sure of it.
Oh, he's a
Adrian
gold
Mannix.
star.
Yeah, I'll give him a sticker. I'll get him a sticker made. Um, you might have met him. Was Liam at the? Does he do the Raw 12 hour, the Raw in Doyleson? He used to do that, yeah. Was he at
Yes,
the
he did.
Enduro
He did all of them last year.
last year?
Yeah, he did all
Adrian,
of them. Yeah.
what about 2018? Would he have been there for the Enduro?
Oh, no, he's only done the 12-hour enduro once,
Adrian was
which was
the
last year.
MC that day.
Okay.
Yeah, really nice guy. What question from Matty Probes? What obstacle was really hard for you at first that you do easily now? So you said your first race, the 8 foot wall was very, very difficult. I seem to remember you flying over them now.
That was daunting. Honestly, the Olympus, I could not for
Okay.
the life of me do that at all. I failed it every single race, honestly. And then did I get it? I guess we didn't really have it. I got it in both races in Bright and then I got it again when we were in Oberon, and just the feel of me being able to do it, it helped. I went to the Burns a couple of times and just found a new technique, and I didn't have to hammer it or anything like that. Obviously, I've been training my grip strength, which just made a massive difference. But I found a new technique. Which happened to work, and now I feel much more confident going into it. I think that makes a massive difference as well. Before I'd just dread it and I was just like, I can't do it. I'd put my feet on the wall and I'd be like, oh, I'm not even going to bother trying because I don't have the strength to be able to do it. And now that I found a technique, I just kind of get up there and obviously take a bit of a breath because it still is a little bit daunting, but I'm not afraid of it, that I wouldn't be able to go out and give it 100% knowing what I can do now.
Yeah, awesome. I think having grip strength is one of the biggest things on that obstacle, like, because otherwise you're sort of panicking a bit. Like if you can't just confidently hang there for a while,
Yeah.
you sort of got to shift your body around in different ways. I actually teach three
Yeah.
different ways of doing that, depending on how strong you are and how wet it is. Like if it's dry, it's
Yes,
a very different obstacle to when it's wet. Or if it's like dewy in the
100%.
morning, or if you've just come out of a dam, or it's muddy, like all of a sudden it's very difficult.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's cool.
I've had a couple of different ways, and one time one way worked, and then the next time I went to do it and all the chains were slippery, so I just had to kind of improvise, and lucky I
Yeah.
had a second way in my back pocket. Otherwise I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, especially if it's late in a race too, and you're a little bit fried. It can be the it can be a few burpees.
For
Maddie
sure.
Probst asked. Maddie Probst asked another one. You and
Sure.
Liam are organising an OCR training weekend back in May. Would you still think about it
Yes.
happening in the future? Cool. That was quick and easy.
Yeah.
Obviously
Yeah, we
no
have.
details right this second, or have you got details? How you
Yeah,
on?
so we have spoken to everyone who's bought a ticket so far,
Cool.
because we did have quite a few people that did purchase,
Mm,
back in February and March when we released tickets.
mm.
Obviously devastating we couldn't have it in May, but we are tentatively booked in for October,
Oh, cool.
just waiting on a few other people to get back to us for those dates. And then I guess it'll all be dependent closer to that time, with what's going on with COVID. You just never know. It might even be better to push it back to later on and even later in the year. But we are in contact with everyone that's bought a ticket so far, and I guess everyone's been on the same page, which has been nice. But ultimately,
Yeah, cool.
we do give them the option, and that's the priority for us.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Hopefully Maddie's going to go and check that out.
Yeah,
We got more. I was actually going to come along to that too. It looked
you
like a
still
bit of
can.
fun. Was that the two? I think I will. Was that the 2 day? Was it 2 days? 2 days? 3 days?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
So we
out like
have two
Narrabeen
two
Lakes
days.
or something.
Yeah, just at the academy there. They've got everything, which is
Yeah,
helpful. But we had options for 1 day tickets as well. So if people didn't want to stay for the 2 days, they could do one each of the days, which was helpful for some.
sweet, sweet as. Well, I follow your socials anyway, so I'll see it
Yeah,
when it gets
we'll let you know.
rescheduled. Vlad's just asked, did you race Spartan overseas like APAC? I know
uh,
Liam was there. Did you race there?
no, because I kind of only really. Oh, actually, that's not true. We went to New Zealand last year for the first New Zealand race, but in terms of any other overseas races, no, I have not. As mentioned, I did do a couple of races at the beginning of 2019, but they were just for fun. see
Yep.
see what I could do because Liam was racing. But first competitive race after properly training was New Zealand, which was awesome. But
Mm,
I just I said to myself, I want to do something like APAC when I know that I'm at the peak where I want to be when I do it. I was going to go this year. Obviously, it's not on. Well, I think it is
Well,
on, but
that's
it
that
was
was the
changed. And
the second half of Vlad's question. Do you
okay,
Are you training for this year's APAC in Hong Kong? I think they moved it to November in Hong Kong, so it's not Philippines. I think it was Philippines September. Now it's
it
Hong
was.
Kong
Yeah,
November.
yeah. No, I don't think that that's something that we will strive towards this year. My main focus is getting ready for 2021. Um, and if that means no racing this year, even if there is, a race on that we could potentially go to, I don't think that I will personally go. I want to be focused and ready for next year.
What about Gold Coast Bright? Is that on the cards?
Maybe,
Gold
maybe
Coast
haven't
Bright.
decided yet.
Gold
Yeah.
Coast November.
Well, it's,
Just
it is
don't
it
just
is
don't do a
bright.
competitive race and come and do some hurricane heats with us. You'll have so much
Oh,
fun.
I could actually do that.
You could. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
Just get a heavy
I'll think
backpack,
about it.
spend 12 hours on a mountain with me.
That's true.
I'm not
I'll
selling it,
think
am
about
I?
Not really.
There's good
I'm
bits.
I'm petrified of snakes, so I don't know if I could go out in the wilderness at night time.
Did you see there's an app now that just got released that you just like take a photo of a snake or a spider and it tells you if it's dangerous. Like this country's so fucked up we need a danger app for our wildlife.
I thought you were going to say they've got an app that can detect where they are, and I'd say that would
If I
be the
tell
best
you
thing.
I've got that app, will you turn up to the hurricane heat?
Yeah, but I have to have proof before I sign up.
Okay. We'll get it made this time.
Yeah, get creating.
No, seriously, you should. It's really good. Do you know if Liam's going to be competing there?
In Gold Coast,
Hmm,
still unsure.
cool.
We're both, I mean, we're so close now. It's kind of our local. So
Mm.
I
You could
think
pretty
we're
much run there.
pretty much. I think our mindset is that we don't want to be too hopeful, that we want to still train consistently and also keeping in mind that it might just not be on. We don't want to get our hopes up and train specifically for one event that, you know, could end up not being on. So we will definitely decide closer to the time. It's not something that we're going to lock in right now. Because it is still quite a few months away. And that's just me as well. I sign up to events at the last minute, even though that I know that I'm going.
Same.
The Spartan Beast in Bright, I signed up 6 a.m. that morning. So I leave it
Did
to
you
the last
podium
minute. Yeah.
that? Maybe I should have done netball when I was young.
I'm not sure that helped. Maybe. I was
Probably
always in the
definitely didn't
water,
help the
so
knees. Swimming would have given you a really good base, really good aerobic base.
yeah. Well, I played water polo, so that was my main go-to.
How fun is that? I played water polo in school. It's awesome fun.
Yeah, it's the best.
I would really love to get back into
It's
that.
very violent, but it's great.
But all the violence
Mm,
happens under the
I know. I
water.
always
It's
think,
like it's fucking sneaky.
yeah,
Like
it
nobody's hooking
is.
each other above the water, but underneath you just stuff's getting groped and twisted. It's a
Uh,
very interesting
I've
game.
had my fair share. It is. It's very interesting to say the least. But it was such a big part of my life, and it kind of reminds me how I think of Spartan now. Water polo was just the best for me growing up, and I loved it, and I lived and breathed it every day. So it was
Yeah,
great.
it's awesome. Awesome. So we've got a couple more questions. Oh, Dominica's live from the lounge room. Hi, Dom.
Oh, hey Dom.
And Mick Stewart's live as well. Mick will be one of the crypt here in the hurricane heat, probably.
Huh.
Um, what drives you to push your limits, Beck?
Um. Oh, I don't want to say it out loud, but probably Liam.
Let's go.
I've never admitted it, but it's true. He definitely
Oh.
motivates me. He definitely motivates me to get out the door.
That's
He'll
good.
write my week and he'll come home from work. He's like, "Have you done your run yet?" And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, "Oh, why? Fine, I'm not helping you then." And I'm like, "Oh no, 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 help me! I'll do my run. I'll do my run." And then I'm like mid run, and I'm just like, I'm so grateful for him. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. Although I do complain a lot, I am very grateful, and I feel so much better coming home after it. So that's definitely my biggest motivation. I think having a household that's on the same page, loves the same things. And last year for me, I just wanted to do everything for fun, which I think that I achieved, and I was super happy with how I went, and I've slowly come to terms with that wanting to do a lot better, and I think that motivates me a lot. I do watch a lot of the Spartan US races, which gets me very motivated
Yeah.
to race and train and things like that. So probably watching and seeing other elite racers race and how they train is very motivating as well, and something that I definitely would advise others to watch, because if you're having a bad day and you know you need to get out there, chuck on one of those Spartan races, because honestly,
Yep.
it'll get you off the couch,
Yeah.
100%.
Chuck on the I had it saved on ESPN when we lived in Sydney. It was the adaptive race, the world championships for the adaptive, like all the amputees and stuff. And that shit was the most inspiring thing I've ever seen in
What?
my whole life. Like there's
Oh,
dudes with no legs doing obstacle races and one arm and like have you met Mark Daniels who usually gets around courses? Like he's an absolute
yes.
animal
I don't
and
think
he
I've
was on
met
Ninja
him
Warrior.
personally. Yeah, yes, I have seen him on Ninja Warrior and at Spartan
Yeah.
races for sure. Yeah,
And
incredible.
it's amazing. And like that race, like you'll be at the 24-hour enduro and Mark will be there and he'll do like 4 laps over 24 hours and he's like with one leg. And you're running and you're like 16 hours into the race and you're hurting. You're like, fuck, I think I'm gonna quit. And then you'll run
Mm,
up on him and like he's limping up a mountain trying to carry a sandbag and you're like, why can't I
yeah,
fucking quit? Can't quit now.
no,
This
honestly,
guy's still out here.
it's
Yeah, so
it's
good.
crazy, and they'll just
Yeah,
keep going and going and going. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
the engine on, especially someone like him. It's phenomenal to watch. Very inspiring for sure.
How much of that, you watching the elites, is that like the US elites, I should say, how much of that is just motivation and how much of it is actually studying? How much of it is you just sort of learning the sport?
Probably a bit of both. I think, like I guess I keep going back down to the lockdown, but when we all first went into the lockdown and, we just came off the bat of Oberon and everyone's blood flowing and super pumped and was ready to get, into the season, and then that happened. So I think that was nice just to keep that there to,
Yeah.
have that hope that races will be on and things like that. But I guess I don't really watch it to study per se, but
Mhm.
I do take in how those elite athletes work and how they do particular type of obstacles, if they slow
Yeah.
down, if they take rest. Everyone's different and everyone has a different background. But when you come to obstacle course racing, yeah, you definitely need to be efficient in all areas
Mhm.
to do well. So it's very inspiring to see those who might, not be that specific in running, or they might not be that specific in grip strength, but the way that they've been able to adapt to these type of races is it's interesting. I definitely take it on board for sure.
Yeah. That's something that I love about OCR is just everything gets equalized. It doesn't matter if you're a really good runner, but you're not as strong on a
Hmm.
carry, or you don't have grip strength, but got really good balance. Like it's sort of everyone just gets equaled out, and you sort of
Yeah,
see who really
definitely.
does the work, which is really cool. And really nice that Liam keeps you motivated and moving. I like to think I do the same thing for Dom, but sometimes I think I'm just
I'm
annoying her.
sure you do.
I can't be annoying her too much because she still watches my videos.
That's true. You need brownie points wherever you can get them.
That's it. That's it. Maddie Probes just asked, who's your favorite US OCR racer?
Ooh. Um, Male or female or both?
I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. Um,
You can say both,
oh,
but
I
then you have to
do.
answer the question twice.
That's true. I do like watching Lindsay Webster race.
Mm,
I think how she has grown as an athlete in a short amount of time as well is very motivating. She seems to have a personality that's very determined, but also has like quite a bit of fun, which is nice and relatable.
mm,
I definitely take note of how she races. Uh, but I don't really just look at one racer. I probably take in how they all do and what they do for training and the different types of training that they might do. I'm really inspired with the likes of Hobie Call and John Albon and the
mm.
veteran racers and how they can just still jump into a race in 2020 and still do just as well as what they did
Dominating like
back when
45.
Spartan was unreal in 2016, looking at all those old races and what they used to go through with those obstacles, it's phenomenal. So that definitely really inspires me how it's comparing the old races to the new races and how Spartan has adapted. But yeah, yeah, that's my answer.
I think it's a lot more polished now, like, and it's a lot more accessible.
Mm,
Whereas the earlier races that I did, some shit was just straight up savage, like some of the hill climbs and obstacle like barbed wire crawls and stuff. You're like, what the fuck? What are we out
yeah.
here doing? Whereas you can't put that stuff in. Like the sport was different when there was 100,000 people doing it compared to when there's 2 million people doing it, right?
Oh, yeah, right. They definitely
Um,
had to adapt, and I completely understand. It's just it's really cool to see how it has evolved and how they
yeah,
started off, because it was, like you said, savage, the stuff that
it's
they used
just
to
like
do. But
backyard
the athlete,
operation run by Joe
oh, just like,
DeCina, who I don't think was hard
yeah.
enough as a child, quite frankly.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but it's just, it's so awesome to watch. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I think you mentioned Lindsay Webster. Watching like their socials and yours and Liam's socials, they're very similar because she's married to Ryan Atkins,
She is, definitely.
and they're like always just out having fun, getting on the mountain bikes, just always like training with each other, and
Yeah.
so maybe
No,
that's the recipe,
maybe.
right? It's got to be about the lifestyle.
It could be. It could be, for sure. As I said, I think it's very helpful to be on the same page. I'm actually we're very thankful and grateful that, both of us enjoy the same things. Like, I could have done my first Spartan race and just gone, nah, this is horrendous. I'm never doing that again. But
Yeah,
yeah, we both thrive off it, and it's just amazing and makes such a big difference. And I am so grateful that, we do enjoy the same things, because it makes training and doing our weekends, we're not on different pages. One person will say, let's go for a trail run, and I'm like, yep, sweet. It's, pissing down with rain, but we don't care. We'll get out there anyway.
yeah, yeah. So it makes a big difference if you're not sort of pulling in opposite directions all the time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Marcus is live, and he's just asked, Marcus Seeger, he's just asked, hi Beck, you mentioned grip strength earlier. Any tips on training? Any tips on training grip strength?
Uh, yes, actually. Liam has taken me through quite a few things that I need to work on. um, Specifically, we find things like dead hangs, chin ups, pull
Hmm.
ups make a massive difference if you just want to start quite basic. Although I say basic, chin ups and pull ups are quite time consuming, and they are hard. But once you get into a rhythm of it, and you increase your reps every day or every week, it just becomes, second nature, and that makes such a big difference. Recently, towards the end of last year, we actually started bouldering at our gym, and rock climbing, and that just made it a little bit more fun, where you're not just doing, your boring chin ups and pull ups and dead hangs on a bar or whatever you might be doing. So I found, for me personally, that bouldering made a really big difference. Also confidence with heights and climbing, and not just your grip strength, but your footing and things like that. So bouldering is massive in training,
Yeah,
if you
cool.
if you can do that, for
Yeah,
sure.
cool. Well, might be a little bit hard right now with gyms
Yeah.
shut in half the country, but
I'm
definitely a good
hoping
tip,
Liam
and
will
we can
build
get
me a
pumped up.
wall.
Did you hear that, Liam?
He's not
I don't.
listening.
He's not listening. He's got headphones on.
I know.
Um, what was I? I just had a question here, but I got distracted. You distracted me, Beck. What's your recovery protocol like? Obviously, you guys do a lot of training. What does recovery? What does yeah?
Mm.
What does recovery look like for you?
In summer, because I'm a bit of a wuss, summer consists of lots of ice baths. Winter, not so much. We do have a chest freezer, so that definitely gets turned on a lot. Makes a big difference, for sure.
Yeah,
We've started to introduce mobility into our training sessions, which makes a big difference as well. Something I definitely don't do enough of, but can vouch for it, for sure. And recovery and protein shakes. I did stop doing that for a while, but I've just started back again. So, I
yeah,
mean, it helps working for a protein brand. So I've
definitely
got all the
helps.
gear, but yeah, that's probably our main things: ice baths, mobility, and recovering with the right nutrition.
Yeah, cool. And I've seen Liam out there with the broomstick breaking up the ice on top of the chest freezer a few times.
Yeah.
I'm I'm such a little bitch with ice baths. Like I was so terrible. Even like cold plunging in the shower, I'm like, fuck that. That's freezing.
See, that's worse. That's
Yeah.
worse, I think, because you're getting your whole body. See, I just like do hips down because I'm like, I'm only using my legs, so that's fine. That'll do.
I'm training at this gym, EMF at Nerang, and it's like off the fucking chain. It's probably the best gym in Australia. It's like half a Masters, like half a Bunnings. Like it's enormous. And there's like a full recovery section. So there's a big pool filled with magnesium chloride, which is like supposed to be better than Epsom salt bath. Um,
Yes.
Heated pool. There's a cold plunge pool and a hot plunge pool, and then like a steam room and a sauna. So like what I've been doing recently is I'll go and sit in the sauna for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I'll jump straight in the cold plunge pool and try and hold my breath
Oh,
underwater for as long as I can. And that's about 6 degrees. And then I'll get back in the sauna and then back in the cold plunge pool, and I'll just cycle that for like 40 minutes.
uh,
But I'm less
that's,
of a bitch now.
yeah, that's you've definitely you've definitely done well. That's probably a little bit more extreme instead of just gradually getting into it.
Yeah,
You've
but
done
but
well.
but what I found, like it's only taken probably 5 of those sessions, and I'm just accustomed to it now. Like
Yeah.
it's a bit easier than it was.
Oh, our ice bath is at 0, and that's not cold enough for Liam anymore. So he's tried other things. He'll go underwater in the 0 ice bath, and
Wow.
it's not quite there for him.
I've got one of Wim Hof's books to read, The Iceman.
Mm,
I'm pretty pumped to get into that because he's just a
yeah.
complete raving lunatic, that guy.
Oh,
He like sits
didn't
in
he
ice
like
baths
fight
for
a
like an
disease
hour.
or something like
Yeah,
by
they
breathing?
they injected E. coli into him, and he just
Yeah,
like went
and he
into like a
just
meditative. I think he went into tumo, so he went into like a breath work that like Buddhist monks do, and
mm,
he just like burnt the sickness out of him. Like he went into like a weird
just
trance for a few minutes, and then he's like, I'm good now. Mm.
it's just unbelievable.
They're the same, like it's the same shit that the monks, like the Buddhist monks do, and they'll sit like up in the Himalayas in the mountains, and they'll have like just a loincloth on, so no clothes, and it's snowing, and they're just sitting there nude, and they've got like a melted ring of snow around them while they just sit there and
Yeah,
do their breath work. It's fucking crazy,
it's phenomenal. It's just crazy what the human body can really tolerate.
right? And so
Mm.
much that we like don't know and haven't unlocked.
Oh,
You
for sure.
you said you're just getting into a little bit more mobility. What does mobility look like?
Foam rolling, trigger balling, stretching, most specifically.
Cool.
That's pretty much it. It is quite simple. I think because you are relaxing and you're not doing anything, it might get a bit boring. That's why a lot of people try and avoid it. But I mean, I do. I don't do it anywhere near as much as what I should. But when I do it, the difference that it makes is just
Yeah, definitely.
unbelievable. So,
I
it,
started yoga over a year ago now, and like I'm pretty vocal about it being a game changer, especially if you
mm,
don't do any mobility. Like
yeah.
yoga isn't necessarily the magic thing, but it's just having that
Uh,
focus on some sort of mobility. But I've just started doing live in the FitFem group. I've just started doing like yoga sessions every week. So every Sunday at 3 p.m. I do like a 60-minute live stretch session.
yeah.
So come along, tune
I
in.
would love to. It would
Just
actually make
yeah.
me do my mobility.
You know what? The secret is that's why I'm fucking doing it because
Yeah,
if I commit to doing a live video for like,
you have to do it.
100 people, I have to turn up.
Yeah, this is
Makes me
true.
do my mobility. So you should just teach it.
Mm,
Then you'll be like bendy as fuck.
and yoga's
Okay.
hard. Like people underestimate it. I tried
It
yoga
is.
for a couple of sessions and I went straight after my gym session. So I'd go to the gym and then go to yoga. And I could not believe how relaxed I was going
Mm,
home. Like I did not care about anything, like no stress. My body felt great. I slept amazing that night.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Your first couple are pretty humbling though. Like
Mhm.
I'm like that with Pilates as well because I don't do a lot of Pilates. So I only do it like maybe once a month,
Do you
which
find that hard
means
though? Is Pilates
yeah,
hard? I've never
kicks
done
my ass.
Pilates.
Kicks my ass to sit in there with like all these 50-year-old women, and I
Mm.
get competitive, and they're like just they're kicking my ass, and I'm like, fuck,
Because they go every
fuck,
day. It's their
like,
thing.
damn you, Doris. I
I
won't
know.
lose. But it's hard. Yeah.
Imagine their joints though, like they're going to be 90 and walking freely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the secret. Don't stop moving.
I know. And we're still doing our mobility. Well,
Yeah.
you are, but I'm not.
I'll send you the link. It's like
Okay.
have you ever done yin yoga? Have you ever done like the really long
No,
poses? So you hold poses for like 5 minutes. So you'll hold like really long stretches. Sounds really
very
boring,
beginner.
but it's actually,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, it sounds like really simple and really easy, but it's actually a little bit of hell.
Hard.
Mm.
Mm.
Have you done hot yoga like Bikram?
No,
Oh
no.
my God.
I'd freak
That's
out. I'd
yeah,
feel like I
that
wouldn't be able
shit's
to
hard.
breathe.
That
Yeah.
shit's hard. I thought I
I
was
need,
gonna go.
yeah.
I thought I was gonna have a cardiac arrest in the first one I did.
And don't they like not let you leave as well or something? Like once the door's shut, they keep you in. I've heard terrible stories.
I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal, but I know my brother-in-law, and I hope my sister Tam's still watching. My brother-in-law went and did his first one, and like he's ex defense, so he's been out in some pretty crazy conditions, and he like had full heat stroke. Like he's like, fuck it, I'm out of
Oh,
here, and he left the room, and they came out, and they're like, no, you have to go back in. And he's like, fuck you, I know what heat stroke's like. Like you can't make me go in that room.
I told ya. They
Yeah.
don't let you leave. I've had friends go, like, I went to leave and they wouldn't let me. And I'm like, I'm never
Yeah.
doing that.
We went back and did another one, like the first one that I've done for years at this EMF gym that I joined. And like when I walked out, I was dead. I thought I was going to pass out doing the shavasana. You know the bit at the end of yoga where you just lay there and you don't do
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah.
I couldn't slow my heart rate down. It was just going boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, oh fuck, I think I'm like something's not good. And I walked out and I was like beetroot. And Dom's like,
Oh,
are you okay? And I'm like, nah, not really. Like that was pretty intense. She's like, why didn't you leave? And I'm like, it's
no.
too shameful. I'd rather just pass out. So, but
I'd
yeah,
rather
give it a
go
go.
into
Give
cardiac
it a go.
arrest.
It sounds like I've sold it really well too. Like you should definitely sign
Nah,
up for this.
it's never happening.
Yeah. You work for you work for True Protein. You said you're back into the protein shakes, the recovery shakes. Um, let's dig into nutrition. What do you guys eat?
Sure. What do we eat? Very healthy stuff, but
Mm.
we just enjoy eating that. Lots of fish, chicken, um, salads, veggies. Um, I make a lot of stuff. Or we usually have like Mexican or sushi once a week, which is really awesome. But we're very chicken and fish kind of people. We don't eat any red meat,
Awesome.
but we're not
Is
vegan.
is there? I felt like you've just thrown that in. We're normal, but what's the what's the what's the reason for the no red meat?
um, I did eat it growing up. You just have it in your household. Mum cooked it, whatever.
Mm.
I guess when I moved in with Liam, we kind of didn't really ever eat it, and then we just got so used to being able to cook our own meals and choose what we want to eat that it was never on the menu. I'd never come home and be like, oh, I'd love a steak.
Yeah.
I'd always want something else. And it just got like 3 years down the track and I'd probably eaten one steak in 3 years or something like that. And I just don't enjoy it as much as probably what I used. I guess I've never really liked it.
Yeah, sure.
It's always been like one of those dinners when you're a kid and your mum's like, we're having steak. And I'm like, oh, but I'd eat it. But yeah, it's just a choice thing because I can choose to have whatever I want to eat and whatever I want to cook, and I'd rather choose not to eat that. I had a bad
Yeah, cool.
experience with a lamb shank as well, so that put me off it a little bit too.
Are you going to tell us about the bad memory, or have you
I
repressed
don't
it?
I don't know if anyone wants to hear it. It's a bit gross. I just
I'm not sure
it
if you
was
know who
cooked
you're
for,
talking to at the moment, but
yeah,
this
this
is
is
this
true.
gross is pretty on brand.
Okay. Oh, it's not a terrible story, but it was my very first lamb shank, lamb off the bone, whatever you call it, and it just looked like it was the lamb's carcass, like she's just
Oh,
been shaved, and it was put on
so
the plate, and I didn't eat it, and I couldn't touch it, and I have not touched lamb since.
yeah, wow, wow. Um,
Ugh.
Yeah, cool. That's I find like I'm probably the same. I definitely choose chicken over any other meat. I don't eat as much of
Hmm.
this as I'd like, but I find that red meat like slows me down a little bit more. Like I feel a little
Yeah.
bit more sluggish after it.
I think it just
Um,
must be like the metabolism of it as well. Like, isn't it can
mm,
be quite heavy on some
right?
stomachs.
It just feels heavy
Mm.
in your stomach. I don't
Yeah,
mind a good steak, but I
yeah.
probably only eat steak like if I go out somewhere.
But it's good source of iron, so
Definitely,
it's needed.
definitely. Yeah, which a lot of people have deficiencies in iron. Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of women, but I don't know if that's accurate. I just know a lot of women with iron deficiencies, and I don't know any
Yeah,
men with iron deficiencies. So I don't know if it affects more women or if
it
that's just
does.
anecdotal.
It
Okay.
does. Just due to womanly things
Yeah,
that men do not
sure.
have, and that's. But my in terms of my iron deficiency, it's just consumption. So like I do eat everything that's on the vegetarian and vegan menu, but the milligrams that you get out of them is just not adequate. So
Yeah.
I
You
take
can't
supplements.
eat a fucking kilo of spinach, right?
No, well, and then I've heard things that like spinach actually works as a blocker, so it stops your body from absorbing the iron, which I haven't actually looked into myself, but I have heard from a couple of people. So I don't
Oh,
know.
right.
I take supplements. I had a
Cool.
cannula done about 6 weeks ago, so and it's made me feel a lot better, to be honest.
Cool. Cool, cool. Just got a couple of comments. Dora's live. She said I'm crazy, Matt. Hi, Dora.
We all are.
We're all a little bit crazy.
Yes.
I'm just getting Dora ran her first event with us at Obstacle Obsession a week or two ago. Started out with a
Oh yeah.
24K race, getting into obstacle racing, and Dora, we're going to make you crazy too. Your initiation has begun.
Did you say she did 24 kilometers for her first one?
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, that is unbelievable. I
Rated
can't even.
magnificent.
I think I've run 24 kilometers once in my life, so that is incredible.
Hmm. Yeah, there was a point in my life where I didn't even like driving 24 kilometers.
Why would you if you don't need to, though?
That's it. Now I run everywhere, or I walk, or I skateboard, or I ride the bike.
Well, yes, you don't. Do you still have your motorbike?
Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah. I
that's the
still
best.
shoot around on that. That's my
Mm,
toy.
yeah.
I gave up drinking. I quit drinking and I bought a motorbike.
Well, that's fab. I would 100% do that too. Well, that's what
Made
Liam did, but
made
he's
sense
always
to
had a
me.
motorbike. Yeah.
What does Liam ride? I didn't know he had a bike.
Um, yeah, he's ridden for quite a few years now. Had a
Oh
had
well,
a little Honda. We recently
nice.
sold it to take up his dirt bike fad, which is
Sweet.
yeah, he's frothing. It's a sick bike. I can't. I'm too nervous to get on the back of it. I was fine on the back of the other one, but haven't tried yet. We'll see.
Do you know what it is? The dirt bike?
Uh, what's your dirt bike? It, it's a TM 350.
Yeah, KTM's are nice.
Mm,
Nice.
it is a nice bike, monster.
How did you how did you work? How did you start working for True Protein?
So Liam and I did a shoot with them towards the end of last year for their Ford Raptor car campaign. Liam's
Oh,
been an
cool.
athlete with True Protein for a few years now.
Yeah.
Um, so they needed a girl to do some filming, and Liam said, my partner Bec does a few crazy things like me. So we did abseiling and all that kind of stuff. So brought me along, and at the end of the year, I was kind of looking for a new job. I just finished uni. I did a Bachelor of Sports Management, so I was looking to get into that area. And lucky enough, they were looking for someone in the event management space for True Protein. So I started that at the beginning of January, which was cool.
Nice. Nice.
Not so much now because there's no
Tried.
events on.
Well,
But
yeah, I was going to say probably the worst year to start that job, but it's the
I know
worst year for a lot of things.
it is. I'm
It'll be
not
good.
complaining.
It'll be good one day.
Yeah, exactly. I've been very grateful for them. they've put me into a few other different roles now. So
Cool.
it's some exciting times ahead.
What sort of supplements do you take? And I guess I'm going to preface that question with, were you taking them before, or like would you be taking them if you weren't working for True? Does that sort of make sense?
Yes, it does. So yes, I'm quite terrible with taking my supplements, but I've just gotten back into the swing of things in the last couple of months. But yes, we were taking True before I worked for them, because Liam's been an athlete with them for quite a few years. So I remember growing up and protein was like the devil. I used to take like a sanitarium horrendous protein drink when I was growing up playing water polo and things like that. And the type of protein that's out there now just doesn't compare to what they used to have on the market. So and True Protein, in all honesty, is just it's just easy to drink and it's nice and there's so much variety. So it's definitely been helpful for sure.
Yeah. Is it just the protein that you take?
So I'll take protein, whether it's the vegan or the collagen blend, and then I'll put glutamine and creatine in my shake. And then we have the zinc magnesium blend before we go to bed.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Creatine, glutamine, I've got to get back into those. I think I'm taking fish oil that's got glutamine in it.
Okay.
Like it's like a hybrid. But creatine I used to take a lot of.
Yeah.
I think I ran out of it and never replaced it. I go through like waves with supplements. I'll like
Yeah, I'm
go
the same.
a year and not take anything, and then all of a sudden I'll go and drop $1,000 at the sub store and be like, I'm a supplement man again.
I'll have to sort you out.
Sweet. I'll tell you what, you come to my free yoga and I'll talk to you about the protein.
All right. Sounds good.
I'll send you a link.
We'll do a
It's a bit of
swapsy.
fun. Yeah, even if you just come and put shit on me. That's what half the people do. Sorry, I'm just trying to read my really small writing down there. I should make that bigger. How far are you looking to go with OCR? How far do you want to take it?
Oh, it's a good question. It's definitely changed. As I said last year, I just wanted to have fun, and that's what I always kind of thought that I wanted to do with OCR. I think that with my anxiety, I freak out. With competitive sport, with water polo, I got a little bit nervous and it was always a bit of pressure. So I stopped enjoying it a little bit. And when I started OCR, I didn't want that to happen. So I was just like, I'm just doing it for fun. I'm enjoying myself, and whatever I do on the day, I'll be proud of.
Cool.
Probably beginning of the year, I started to, go a step further and really start to think about where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. So my goal to kind of complete that was to do APAC, just to complete APAC, to be honest. That was the goal. And also podium in a national series race, which I was lucky enough to do for the first one. So small steps, but I think I will get there eventually. I'd like to do APAC. And whether or not I want to do world champs, I'm not sure yet. That might come a little bit later on. Up in the air about that.
Cool. You said really early in the talk today about getting through a race, and sometimes you just focusing, and once it's done, you're like, I'm glad that's done now. I can focus on the next thing. Do you get nervous about races now? Like, but before a race starts, do you have race nerves?
I did in Oberon, definitely. I didn't.
Why
I think it was because it was my first race that I was like, I really want to do well, and I've been training really hard, and I want to see what I can do. I did just come off the back of an injury, so I didn't have amazing expectations, but my mindset was definitely a lot different to what it was last year. It was very like, you've been putting in all the effort, see what you can actually do, knowing that you want to strive to, get on the podium. Whereas before it was never about a podium. It was just about finishing.
Yeah, cool. How did you go at Oberon? I'm usually pretty good at remembering podiums. I was actually sick at Oberon. I remember talking to you. You were doing your warm up, and I was nearly going to pull out of
Mm-hmm.
that race. I was car sick on the way up. I hadn't slept. I was all over the place. But for the life of me, I can't remember the podium for that event. I remember the men's. How did you go in that race?
I ended up coming second in that one.
Monica Homewood took it,
Yes. Yeah.
and Tediana
Yes.
took the third.
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. And was that the first race as a pro?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That might have
Yeah.
added to the nerves a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. It's just probably just in the back of my mind, where I guess before I never really had that. So probably definitely played in the nerves, and yeah, quite a few people race that maybe hadn't raced in Bright. So that's the thing about OCR. You just never know who's going to turn up. You might have everyone, you might only have a couple of people, but even if you only have a couple of people, everyone's, quite on par. So you just never really know what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
it's always nerve-wracking, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't know who's really going to front. I know one thing, the sport is getting faster. Like as it grows and
Mm,
as it attracts more people from other sports and more people stumble into it. I find usually once people stumble into it, they stick around for a while because it's, pretty
yeah,
amazing. So it definitely is attracting more and more talent. So
for sure.
you have to keep working for it,
I
but
know.
keeps everyone
It is
honest.
good. Well, exactly. I really love that it has such a wide variety of people that do it. Like you see people that rock up and they're like, I've never run before, or I've never done rock climbing and I don't know what to expect. I'm just going out and I'm walking it. And that's what makes me so happy when I finish a race, because there's just so many different kinds of people out there. And I tell my friends all the time, I'm like, you have to come and do this. They go, I don't run, or I don't know how to climb a rope. I'm not strong enough. I need to train before I do it. And I just say, no, you don't. Like, you should come and see the people that are out there, and how much that they enjoy it. And, the feeling that you get when you cross that finish line, whether you walked it, whether you did 100 burpees, where you did no burpees, where you ran the whole thing, it doesn't matter. Everyone just still feels so amazing when they finish. And I love, love seeing everyone's faces, and, how proud they are just to completing this race. It's awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The reason I'm in love with this sport is the stories, the people that you get out and you meet and you see people on course. And, I have the utmost respect for you guys completing a beast in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, at a really fast race. But I also have an amazing amount of respect for the guy who comes over the line after 8 hours, and the people who
Mm,
are out there who didn't think they could complete it and they're still out there anyway, and the people who are on their sixth, seventh set of burpees and they're still there and they're still walking it out and they're cramping, and it's just incredible. And I find it
mm.
like it attracts quite a few weird and wonderful people from a lot of different walks of life, and everyone has a story, and you meet people who've beat cancer, and you meet people who've come off crazy spinal injuries and have gone through have hit rock bottom, or they've gone through crazy divorces and they're born again. It's yeah, it's just for that reason alone, I try to get as many new people out onto a course as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I've never had a bad word to say about an obstacle course race. It still like baffles me how incredible it is, and how one sport that, didn't exist 15 years ago can just be so inspirational to so many different types of people. And it's a pretty powerful thing, to be honest. Like, it's a brand new sport, and can do this to so many people. So
Yeah. And that's the Spartan paradox that Joe talks about, Joe DeCina, and he puts a bit of content out to this effect, which is the guy saying, I couldn't do Spartan, I'm not fit enough, I can't run, I can't get over a wall. What I'll do is
mm,
I'll train and then I'll come to a Spartan next year. And like I've been doing this for years now, and I've had people contact me over the years who are like, I'll come to the next race, I'll come to the next race. And then I message them and I'm like, all right, there's a race here in 3 weeks. Are you going to come? They're like, oh, I'm not fit enough. I'll come to the next one. And it just goes for years and
mm,
years. And it's like,
yeah.
listen, fucker, nothing's changing. You're not coming. You need to just sign up for the fucking race, and that'll either make you
Yeah.
train or you'll turn up, get your ass kicked a little bit by the course, and you'll train for the next one, But you need to just get out there and have a
Yeah.
crack. Just sign up.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. That's the first. You just need to sign up. It's the one. It's the only thing that's going to get you there. And once you're there, if you do, not that great, you might do way better than what you even expected. It's also about knowing that there are so many people that are going to be in the exact same position as you, so you're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just getting out of your comfort zone. Everyone's
Yeah.
capable of so much more than they think they are, especially when you're a beginner. Um, you have some pretty firm limitations on what you think you can do.
Mm.
Um, Jess Janenga,
Hey,
just here
Gal.
to say I miss you.
Oh, I
Um,
miss you too.
we're all close. We'll have
We
to catch up
are. We're
for
so
some.
close now.
We'll have to catch up for some social distancing coffee. I
And
think
some
Jess
trail
Jess was gonna.
hikes.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super keen on hiking. I was gonna say we won't go for a run because it'll be like I'll see you guys when you get back. I'll take Liam's KDM and you guys can run. Um, but
Halfway, I'll be put on the back with you, and we'll just go, see you, Liam.
bye, Liam. Um,
It still beat us up there, but
yeah, but I know Jess was going to catch up with Dom for a coffee, so we'll all tee that up. We'll go
ah,
for a hike. I've
yeah.
really started to enjoy getting out and just hiking, but with like heaps of weight on. Like I throw like 20 or 30
Oh,
kilos in a backpack and just go for a hike. And I think the reason that I really started to enjoy it was because I had a heap of people and they're like, can we go out for like a hike or a run? And a couple of them were beginners. And I'm like, well, I'm not just going to go for a walk because it's not really going to touch the sides. So I'm just going to throw a
yeah,
backpack on, like my Hurricane Heat Pack on. But I really, really enjoy it. It's
yeah.
yeah, it's just awesome. And because of that, like it's so scalable. So for like you guys with clients, you can get out there and Liam can have 40 kilos on and somebody else can have no weight, and you both have
Mm,
a really, a similar experience. So
yeah,
we'll have to we'll
definitely.
have to we'll have to tee up that.
Yeah, for sure. Liam's got a weight vest, so he's actually done that. He went for a walk with his parents and chucked on the weight vest, and he just said it was a lot harder than than what I thought than just going for a normal walk. So it's definitely
Yeah.
beneficial, for sure.
The first one I did, I've got like a 30 kilo one. So it's got the adjustable iron bars that you put in it. And I took Axel the dog for a walk. And I was fine for like the first 2.5 Ks. But then all of a sudden my traps were just fried. Like it was so heavy.
Mm.
And I'm like, fuck. And I was 2.5 Ks from the house. I'm like, I can't even call an Uber because I've got the dog. So I just had to
I love how
walk
that's
home.
where your mind goes, Uber.
Right. I once I
Not
once
walk
went
back
for a run.
home, but Uber.
I once went for a run. This is how I feel about road running. I once went for a run and got about 10, 11 Ks from the house, and I'm like, fuck this. I just called an Uber. This was years ago. Like my knees hurt. I'm going home.
Oh, that's never crossed my mind. It's interesting.
Never happens on a trail. I would never do that. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it now. I think I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of years really working on my mental strength and really putting myself into situations where I put myself in situations where I really want to quit, but I don't quit. And I
Mm.
sort of built that. So now I'd stay up there for sure.
It's a very hard thing
Um,
to do though. So it's good that you've gotten there for sure. It's not easy.
yeah, anyone can build it though. You just got to do
Mm.
hard shit.
Yeah,
Do hard
that
shit
is very true.
by choice.
Very
What's
true.
um what's two pieces of advice you would give somebody who is just say starting out in obstacle racing, or somebody who is maybe quite good at another sport and looking to, you know, do what you've done, explode onto the scene? What would the advice be?
I guess the first thing would be just don't be afraid to try new things and don't look at obstacle course racing as something that's scary. I do know that quite a few people, they look at it and they're like, oh, I could never do that. I can't climb a rope, I can't run, I've never done that before. I think that's the one piece of advice that I can give someone that might have never done it before, or in a position like me, you might have, sort of an athletic background, but have never done it before, and just think that it's fun. It is fun, and you should definitely just give it a go, because you'll never know unless you try. And that's the one main thing that I would love everyone to take out of that, because if you don't do it, you just don't know. And if you don't know, then you could always be thinking about what could have happened. So that's what I did. I just did it and loved it, and that's great. I also knew that if I didn't love it, then that was fine too. But as long as I gave it a go, just don't be scared to try it. You just got to do it. And, nothing's ever a success. You're always going to fail things before you should, or, your first go might be average and the second go gets better, but it always does get better, and you just got to go for it.
Yeah, awesome. So just jump in, have a crack.
Exactly.
I've got one more question that we are going to get to. But if anyone watching does have a question, we're sort of getting towards the back end of this talk. So if you want it answered, ask it soon, quickly.
I'm here to answer.
What do you think the differences are, if any, being a woman in OCR compared to a bloke?
I don't think there's any, because all the courses are the same, besides a couple of weights, like the sandbag, everything's the same. So I've never looked at it as an equal, what's the word? Not an equal sport, inequality. That's what I was looking for. Nothing. I don't think that there's any differences in terms of male and female, which is nice.
Cool. What do you think they could do better? Talking about Spartan, what are some improvements? Yeah, I guess Spartan's the easiest one to focus on. What are some improvements you'd like to see, or how would you like to see the sport evolve?
In terms of involvement, just an observation, especially with Liam going over to Asia and things like that we're very behind on our obstacles. So we got the twister in Oberon. It was supposed to come, I think, in Bright or something like that. It was overseas for years before we even saw it, and I think it's just more of a disadvantage. So from what I gather, that other countries look at Australia as we're just still up and coming. There's not as many of us as there are in other countries, but it's not as beneficial when we're being left behind in the obstacle scene as well. And we could rock up to a race in Asia or the Americas and have never seen something before, but it's been around for years. And I think that would be the one thing that I would say would be an improvement. And then also including, obstacles that, well, I guess going off that, so including the obstacles that we should be seeing, like that's quite common, like the tire flip and things like that. And something that, can be easily put in its place, I think that there's just a couple of obstacles that get thrown in, like like the heavy rope and things like that. And I mean, you don't see that in any other country. That would be my only thing in terms of improvement. I don't know the logistics behind Spartan, if it's even easy to get these obstacles in. I'm just an observer, and especially observer of Spartan worldwide. So that would just be the one thing that really sticks out for all races.
Yeah, I think the larger the sport is, the more infrastructure it can support, I guess. If anything, that would be, I guess, the only reason that we wouldn't have that stuff is only that over in the US, it's just a much larger operation. The budgets are so much bigger. That'd be about the only reason I would think, but I definitely tend to agree with you there. We could put a couple extra in. We'd keep the races a little bit happier. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll pass that on to Spartan too. I'll say
Oh,
us.
thank you. Okay. They're
No,
probably listening.
they might be, yeah. They watch these sometimes. Um, and I spoke to
I mean
Chris.
well.
We definitely know that. No, look, constructive criticism is like gold to a business. So if we can get somebody who's running the front of the sport saying what they'd like to see more of, that's going to be good advice. Um,
I'll shoot
what's
myself in
your
the foot. They'll put in something really hard and then I won't be able to do
You're like,
it.
whose fucking idea were these tires?
I'll be running the
Apparent,
other way.
apparently they're pretty bad, those heavy tires. To sometimes they can't even pick them
Yeah,
up, and you'd
pinch.
see,
You need pinch grip.
yeah, you'd see that on the US events. Sometimes it's crazy.
Mm.
You just see all the pros just run in and they just hit a bottleneck. They can't get the fucking things off the ground.
Oh, like, and when you're wet and things like that. I don't think that's something that I'd like to see, but Liam's frothing on it, so
Yeah, I'd love that because I'm not fast, but I'm strong.
yeah,
Like I can pick shit up.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so that'll be
he'd kill
like
it then.
me passing all
Mm.
the people doing burpees, and I'm like, bye. I'll see you again
You
in
can
five
do my
minutes.
tire flip.
Deal, deal. It's looking like I don't have many other questions, so we're just going to get into the last one that I ask everyone. What's your funniest race fail?
I don't have a funny race fail.
You got to have some sort of funny fail story, maybe a water polo story.
I don't really have anything that's funny. I definitely have failed a lot of obstacles, but nothing that's funny. Nothing that I can think of the top of my head, to be honest. Water polo is very aggressive, so nothing funny ever happens there.
You just get like punched in the gut.
I know. I don't know. I'm really terrible with those type of questions. You have to give me time to think about it. If I'm on the spot, I won't remember, but then I might remember like 3 days later.
You message me in like 6
I'll
hours.
have to let you know. I'll have to do a separate video. I
Wake up at
honestly,
2 in the
nothing in
morning.
OCR as funny has ever happened to me because I've more been on the verge of crying rather than laughing. So
It's an emotional sport, getting out there and
it is.
giving your all for a couple of hours. There's a really good reason why people cry on finish lines. It's yeah, it's pretty full on. It's pretty full on.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But that's all right. There's plenty of time in your career to have a funny fail. So next time we chat, hopefully
I hope
something
it's
funny's
not in a
happened.
serious race, maybe in a funny one.
Come and do a hurricane heat. Heaps of funny shit happens. They won't.
Okay, as long as there's no snakes.
I can almost guarantee there won't be a snake. Actually, it's like Gold Coast in November. There's definitely gonna be snakes. But they don't
I
hang
know.
around. They'll fuck off. Like you're making a lot of noise in a hurricane heat. People yelling and swearing. Lots of swearing.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Snakes aren't
Fabulous.
swearing.
My type of party.
Yeah. So thanks for
Okay.
having a chat with us today, Beck. It's been an absolute pleasure
No worries. Thanks for having
bringing you
me.
on.
It's
No,
been good.
anytime you want to chat, I'll send you the link for yoga on Sunday, and
Perfect.
hopefully we'll see you there doing a bit of stretching, and yeah,
Definitely need
ho
it.
hopefully we can catch up for some training sometime soon as well.
Yes, now that we are so close.
That's it. All right. I'll speak to you soon and say hi to Liam for me.
I will, for sure. Thank you so much again.
Pleasure. A couple of guys saying thanks. So Matty Probes, a
Thanks,
couple of
guys.
others. So catch you later, Beck.
See ya.